Namaskar. This Bengal volunteers once more, and now we are on a very special topic. On each Saturday, on VERITAS, we do concentrate on very special topics that are bound to impress brain, that are quite necessary to influence a person's thought procedure. So today we have a very special topic. We are concentrating on a very lost issue. This issue had been talk of the town a century back. Even in the 1940s, this issue had lots of influence across Bengal, but following the partition, it has lost momentum. So for almost 80 years, Bengal volunteers have come up to write the issue. And the topic is, we are invigorating Gaudeshwar, Lakshman and Maharaja Pratapaditya. The last week had been the week of coronation. On that very week, almost 1,000 years back, Gaudeshwar Lakshman had been coronated, and on the last Friday, that was Saturday, it was the Rajyabhishek of Raja Pratapaditya. Maharaj Pratapaditya. Both had been heroes at the times. They had been involved in lots of heinous confrontations. Both had been involved in the struggles against the Islamists. They had been the vanguard of Bengal's independence in the times. Even 1903, after many centuries, Shoradabi Chaudhurani had initiated the Pratapaditya itself, led to the beginning of the revolutionary struggle in Bengal. So, without wasting any moment, I think there's some problem in the links. Although we do beg your pardon again, the linking problem is not with us, it's in our hand. We are trying to cope with the issue as best we can. So on this very issue, we have two honorable guests with us, two noble youths who have been contributing a great part of their lives in these researches, a great part of their lives or daily life activities in dealing with all these issues to find out the lost Bengal national philosophy. Let me introduce Soumyati Banerjee.
Namaskar, Anumitra.
Energetic youth, and he has been with us for a good number of time, working with us steadily, contributing articles, and also being involved in lots of studies. Well, another one is Snehanshu Majumdar, but unfortunately, I think the Snehanshu is not in the line till now. I hope Snehanshu will be joining us in a very few moments. Snehanshu is also a very energetic youth among us, and all of us are trying to, well, Shana Snehanshu is already with us. Just a minute, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. The link is breaking once more. The link is breaking.
Anumitra, I think your mic and camera is getting freezing. There is some internet issue, I think.
Well, I think can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes, I can hear. Okay.
Okay, sir. Well, if there's a problem, we shall have to make some other issues. Okay.
Yes, sure.
Definitely, there is a problem. There is a problem today. Yeah, that's true.
There's a little bit noise problem.
Well, I would like to ask, can you hear me, Srihanshu? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. But the sound should be good.
Just. So now can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, fine, thank you. Well, I would like to begin with Srihanshu. Srihanshu, what's the relevance of Maharaja Pratapaditya in this at this point in this point of time in Bengal? What's the relevance?
The relevance of Maharaja Pratapaditya in the modern times is very much significant. If we see the modern political criteria of this, as a nation or as a ethnic group, this country or in the subcontinent, we are very much from the very beginning of the transfer of power, the independence. So, as a to be united and to politically or socially or culturally to be dominant on the subcontinent, we have to have a strong ideology, strong hold on the historical perspective that we have the right to live in this land and being culturally dominant. We have ruled this land for the past period of time. So, what is who are our ancestors from whom we can resemble that we have the right and we have various history of martial tradition. So, we have collected or we have discovered, whatever we can define it. We have various ancestors of our great empires who lived and ruled this land. Such great empire as we will discuss today about this Sena Empire, Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena, and the medieval 16th century Emperor Maharaja Pratapaditya, the highest respect. The first two phenomena, the both are among the resistance to Islamic invasion. The first one, the Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena, who was the we can say the first emperor who learned to successfully resist the Christian invasion. You understand when from Delhi, the fall of Prithviraj Chauhan, then in Kannauj, the Garhwal king Aichant's fall, and then the fall of Alam, then comes Bengal in the east. We can see the first ever resistance happens from the Sena dynasty. As we see the Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena, his resistance of the Turks, the defeat of Bakhtiyar, and then his son, Gaudeshwar Viswarup Sena, and the liberation of Kashmir, further march to north, is a liberation of Kashmir. So it's a deliberate practice of resistance or the military dominance that we have protected the subcontinent from a very part of time. And then comes the medieval era, the very large vast Mughal empire that rises in this country and close its claws in the east, in the eastern side of India. Though it was invaded from the western side and the defeat of Ibrahim by Babur or whatever, it captures Delhi and comes to the east side. Then it comes to the east. Then the very first resistance against the Mughal again starts from the land of Bengal, the very eastern part of the Bhagirathi Hooghly. Then the resistance happens from the south. And then again, these battles happen and the Delhi government becomes defeated by the Bengal. Here, the entire from the regular structure of our Bihot Bengal, the Patna to Puri to Sandhi, the greater empire, the greater Hindu empire gets as our own very state. So, as a race or as a ethnic group, we can say we have inherited genuine ancestors who had resisted this land, have owned this land from a very part of time, who have ruled and protected the culture, the values, the traditions, and the total inheritor of this. So, and we have to, and we generally have to resemble our ancestors who have ruled, who have protected, and from whom we come. This is the main motto of us. So we have to know about our ancestors. You there's a genuine proverb, never let your enemies write your history. And unfortunately, we had a race to be always a history written by our enemies. You see here the following narratives that are to be weak, to be effeminate, whatever you can say, to defame our us. But it's not. We can see if we genuinely read our history, that we can we are not. We are generally very some warriors, the rulers get paper, we are confident, we are of a very cultural hegemonic race. So to all these inheritance of our history, we have to promote it, protect it. So that's our main motto. So we have to protect this speed. Thank you.
I think there is some internet issue with Onimitroda. He will be back with us very soon. Now, as we started, what Snehangshu said, that the resistance against the Muslim invaders started from this land only. Now, before, I would say before Lakshman Sen, there was no direct attack on Bengal. Lakshman Sen, why is he important? Because of 500 years of a 5 century long resistance against invaders, a 5 century long. It's not about 10 years, 20 years, or a century, 5 century. I can guarantee that no part of India has this long and this powerful history of resistance against the invaders. Now it started from Lakshman Sen. He gave the base on which a huge monument stands, like from the attack of Bakhtiar 1203 to 1761, the fall of Mollogo, 550 plus years of resistance, and it started with Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sen. That's where his importance stands in our history. Now, sadly, his name has been almost erased, which is very sad because what he did was incredible. Like, if I start about talking about Lakshman Sen, I would start by one word. There is a proverb. We say, "Jack of all trades, master of none." But Lakshman Sen was a master of all trades. He was an able battle commander. He had a huge Digvijay journey in his youth. He was an excellent writer. He completed the Adbhut Sagar, the book written by his father. Next, he was very, very, very benevolent and a great ruler. Such great ruler that even the people or the historians that say bad things about him, they also say good things about him. Like he is described as a very tani, as a very great ruler by his, I would say, his enemies also. The enemies who attacked him. His full name, or the name, if I say, it was Ariraj Madan Shankar Maranka Malla Parameshwara Param Bhattarak Parama Narsingha Gaudeshwar Maharaja Dhiraj Lakshman Sen. He belonged from the house of Senas. The Sen dynasty was actually formed, or the Sens came to power during his grandfather Gaudeshwar Vijay Sen, who established the power of the Sens in Bengal, started the Sen dynasty rule. Then came his father. Then came his father, who is a very, very colorful and great character in Bengal's history again, Gaudeshwar Ballal Sen. Gaudeshwar Ballal Sen, who is very much known for the Kaulindo Protha type of things. And there are many things about him. He was also a great writer like his son. Then comes Lakshman Sen, who was the eldest son of Gaudeshwar Ballal Sen. And Lakshman Sen was a worshipper of Bhagwan Ugramadhav Narsingha. And he took the title of Parama Narsingha. He was a great patron of literature. Great poets like Joydev.
Do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
well,
yes.
Well, before saying anything, I must express my professional disgrace. It's a professional disgrace of mine, but since we were quite knocked out of the connection, and I think Somadip is Snehamshu there, I think. Where is Snehamshu now?
Snehamshu is
Please
there.
call him. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's begin the journey from the very beginning. We are today quite concentrating on the issue of the invigoration or invigorating Raja Gaudeshwar, Lakshman Sen and Maharaja Pratapaditya. So there were some technical disadvantages. We do beg your pardon for that. Well, my first question to you was that what's the relevance of Maharaja Pratapaditya and Lakshman Sen in this era? Pratapaditya and Lakshman Sen great figures, but they have been forgotten for many decades. That is stretch. You do know Shomodeep and Snapshow very clearly. They have not been given the due credits. And for the last few 30 or 40 years, they have been expunged from history books. Only a few 2 or 3 lines are credited to them. And that's the violation or travesty of Bengal's history. So, Shomodeep, I'm very sorry to stop you now. So I will come back to you once more. Now, where were we when the technical disadvantages took place? Snehemshu, what do you think of the relevance of these two great personalities in today's Bengal? Let's begin once more. Yes, Snehemshu, please begin. Yes, Snehemshu,
Can
please.
you please repeat the question?
What's the relevance of Gaudeshwar, Lakshman Sen and Maharaja Pratapaditya in today's Bengal?
As if we see as a historical perspective, so we the relevance as an emperor or as a historical figure, as a king, the to define our race or our ethnicity to be a warrior, just or not just to be a ruler race in this state of our own country. To say that in the colonial era there was developed a very sassy narrative about us, our king, about Lakshman Sena, that a false narrative that he was dead for 50 hours. uh, that was taken from a dark academic and Minhaj. Minhaj is one narrative. So there was
Well,
a
Snehemshu, I'm afraid to say that we can hear anything. I think the technical the crisis is there.
internet connection.
We can hear anything, unfortunately. So, Madhav, do you can you hear anything? I can hear anything. Can you hear anything?
I think there's
So,
a
Madhav,
problem
can you
with
hear?
Snehemshu's sound. Yes, I can hear you, but
I
there
guess
is some
it's
problem
fine. I
with the
guess
sound.
failing to catch Sam.
Yeah, so the question, Onimitra, you were asking, what is the relevance today? The
Well,
time
so
at
Madhav,
when,
just a minute.
yes, yes.
Enough of this. I don't. So let's begin the journey once more. I'd like to know from you the relevance of Boris and Expansion and Maharaja Pratapaditya to the temple. Let's begin.
Yeah, so what
What's the
is the
relevance?
relevance today? What is the relevance today, or what do we have today? Like when the Muslim rule started in India, actually, that started a very dark phase of our history. Like from the attack of Muhammad Ghori, the battles of Tarain, as we say, the defeat of Prithviraj Chauhan, and within a very fast time, the whole of North India came under Muslim rule. Then the attack started in Bengal. At this time, the Hindus and Buddhist people were mercilessly persecuted. Idols were broken. Mass conversion was happening. There are thousands of examples in history that we have. At that time, Lakshman Sen started the resistance, as mentioning. He started the resistance from this land of Bengal. There was very few resistance or very less resistance before that. What Lakshman Sen started is he took up the base, he made the base, and a monument of 500 years of resistance was built. Now we are in a phase, and also Maharaja Pratapaditya, what he did when he resisted against the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was at its peak during the rule of Akbar and Jahangir. It was as dark as a no moon night for the Hindus in India. But what Maharaja Pratapaditya did, he brought the idea of Swaraj. What is a Swaraj? Said by Lokman Tilak, said by one great our great freedom fighter. The idea of Swaraj, the idea that we will stand up and fight. It was brought again by Maharaja Pratapaditya at one time. This is his relevance. We are from the land which has given resistance against the most powerful invaders in history for 5 centuries. We unfortunately these things has been erased from our history. That's why the Bengali youth for last 3 or 4 decades we have lost our, what will I say, the power in us. We would see everywhere Bengalis are said to be that they can't fight, they don't know how to fight, and even there are many Bengali youths who have lost the way of life. That's where the importance of Maharaja Pratapaditya and Gaudeshwar Lakshman comes. They showed us the way that how to do it. They showed us that they are the examples that we are not weak. We are capable more than enough of doing anything. We are going through a phase when our country, our state, our civilization is getting a sprout. At this time, Lakshman Sen, Pratapaditya, and other many people. I am mentioning these two names. There are many other people between 400 or 500 years. All of them that were there. What we did, our fight against the invaders would, I would say, this is here to inspire us against what is happening with us today. There is a Islamic outbreak in all over India, as we know. Attacks are happening on us, on our people, on our civilization. Most probably, our civilization is being attacked. Then these people comes to our mind that no, if our ancestors did it, then we can did it too. This is the importance of Gaudeshwar Lakshman and Pratapaditya today. Also, Pratapaditya was very much revered during the freedom fighter. As you mentioned, the Pratapaditya Utsav that came to existence in 1903 by Sharala Devi Chudurani, and it inspired many freedom fighters. Even Binoy Sarkar in his book mentions Pratapaditya, the father.
Am I audible?
Well, I think Somadev is breaking, but I think that Somadev, just a minute for Stanford. Somadev has got a very good point. Now, Stanford, I'd like to know from you, what can they say more on this? Please continue.
You listen me?
No. Well, I must say that Somadev Banerjee has raised a very good point. What do you want to say more of these two people, of these two great personalities?
At this time, we have to revive the martial tradition along with the martial history, kings who have the martial traditions of our land. So, if we see in our history that our emperors expanded their empire and their military tradition and the army structure, how can we define that? How they make their army, their military tactics, war strategy? So we have to inherit and we have to realize that what they they sorry inherit. So how a great empire on this thing. So if we come on today's perspective, they say that the Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena and Maharaja Pratap's history. So first we have to understand what was their military structure. So they have great cavalry, they have great infantry, and a great number of tanks. As Anuramagal mentioned, about 52,000 so infantry soldiers Maharaja Pratap, and the Jaipur Vanshavali Charita mentions the 51,000 archers. There's somewhat so the great the great number of army that was made at the period of time the Mughal Empire. That could took the entire wing of the Mughal army, and they could not even attack the very first of all. Now, how this empire was happening and what was the inspiration behind? There was literally military structure. At that time, the every village of Bengal produced say, one
Hmm.
family from school. And even the women of that era was very down to martial tradition, and they used to learn the martial tactics and actually open good martial. So that time we can say the great our infantry. We have mentioned undoubtedly our great infantry that and our elephant happened. Suppose Falka had Annoda Mongol. That was a great our benefits to trust the invading armies every time, maybe it Turks or Mughal. As we see, all the invading armies on the west were literally cavalry or horsemen, and we had a power basically dependent on navy and the elephant. So when it comes to the battle and Bengal being a very river dominated, so we took a good benefit of that naval strategy, and we defeated the Turks. And when they saw the frontal battle happened, their their horses and elephants, so we easily cut down their cavalries and their horses. As we see the Pratapaditya or slope where the Maharaja Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena defeats their Khilji when he was above the elephant, those arrow which struck Bhaktiyar's right hand literally fells the horse and south out this weapon Hatiyar. So
Well, fine. Just a minute. Well, what we have learned until now from Sneha is that even at the time there was a very, very strong military machinery. There had been a great intent to not only to tackle but to end the Islamic supremacy and the military Zingoism in Bengal. So we must say that from Narendra Shashanko through the Pal dynasty, the Sena dynasty, the Gaudeshwar, Lakshman Sen, uh, Virendra Ganesh, Maharaja Pratapaditya, Rai Bagari Bhabashankari, Rai Sitaram, there had been a continuous flow or a great legacy of martial spirit and the martial culture. But unfortunately, that culture has become so extinct by now that Bengalis perhaps are the last persons who are going to resort to any strong methods to stop any kind of injustice. So, Shomadev, I'd like to know from you that you have been talking of all this, you have been telling of Pratapaditya. What does matter to you most? Which aspect of Project Pratapaditya or Lakshman Sen or any other one attract you most? I would like to know from you. What does attract you most?
The thing that I think most important in their character, I would use a term. It's called bhaya bhoy. It's used for many devatas in Hinduism. Bhaya bhoy means bhoy and abhoy both. They were cruel in the battlefields, both of them. There was a
Just
Lakshman Sen had
a
a
minute. Just a minute. But bhoya bhoya means that you want to say that an amalgamation, a mixture of both destroyer and the rescuer. He is
yes.
rescuing and he also destroying at the same place. Okay. Okay. Carry on, please.
Yes. So
Carry on,
if
please.
we talk about Maharaja Pratapaditya, he has been termed as a cruel monster by Islamists and the missionaries. Cruel monster. Why? Because he broke a church in Chandikan. Chandikan is what Joshua was called by the missionaries and Portuguese people. Chandikan. He broke a church in Chandikan and make the missionaries flee from his land. So they called him cruel monster. He was equally very much cruel and very much dangerous for the Islamist invaders who attacked. There has been many examples in wars what he and his army did to them. He was very cruel to the people who are against him, but in the same point he was very loving to his subjects. uh, there is a concept of a king being kalpaturu during the Hindu rule times. kings used to become Kalpataru in the Pal Sen era. Now, after the Islamic attacks happened, these Hindu kings became so much busy in their resistance, they can't become Kalpataru. But Maharaja Pratapaditya, after he established the Joshua Samrajya, he once became Kalpataru. And Kalpataru means whatever you want, he will give it to you. So one Brahmin, he came to nearby Pratapaditya and he went to test him. He went to test him and he went to him and said, "You are Kalpataru, I want your wife from him." The Brahman said. Pratapaditya said, "Yes, you can take him." This was the level of Tanvir he was. In Khiti Bangshabali Charit, there is a mention of Pratapaditya. It says that Juddhe Arjun Tulascha Gyane hi Shankara Jatha Pratigayang Bhishya Jatha Dane Karna Samasacha, which means he was as great as Arjuna in battle. He was as great as Shankar in knowledge. He was as great as Bhishma in promises, and he was as great as Mahadanvir Karn in his dance. He did so much dance. There is a poem that used to go on between people at that time. It says that Shorge Indra Raja Bashuki Patale Pratapaditya Rai Omoni Mondal. He was compared to Indra and Bashuki. He was such a loved king between his subjects. This is the Bhaya Rup, and this is what I love about them the most. This same thing comes about Lakshman Sen. If there's the most famous book, I would say, in the book Minhaj Siraj, Minhaj in his book Tawqat-e Nashiri, he mentions he didn't write Lakshman Sen because as Arabi he can't pronounce Lakshman Sen, so he said Rai Lakmania. He says Rai Lakmania to be the Khilafat al-Hind. Khalifa is the head of the Muslim world, and he said Lakshman Sen is the head of Hind, which means he is the most powerful ruler, Hindu ruler of India. He said that Rai Lakshmania would give 1 lakh rupees to a people who would come to him for any help. He was such a benevolent ruler. He was, as I mentioned, he was a devout of Bhagwan Narsingha. There were many things written in his court, but if you look at him, when he attacked Bakhtiyar, he became the Marankamal. When in his war against Bakhtiyar, he was around 80 years old, 75, 80. So imagine a 75, 80-year-old king getting up on an elephant and hitting the man who attacked him. He hit Bakhtiyar with an arrow in his hand. The weapon that Bakhtiyar was holding falls from his hand. He starts crying Hatiyar, Hatiyar. At 80 years old, a king attacks the invaders and attacks him so well in a such way that Bakhtiyar fled. Bakhtiyar fled to Kamrup area. He couldn't withstand the power of Lakshman Sen. This is what I love about them the most. That they are cruel and they are dangerous to the enemies, but they are benevolent and loving to the subjects. This is the character of Lakshman Sen, you say, Pratapaditya, you say, or any other Hindu king from Bengal. You say, this is what I love about them most, and this is what I get inspired from them the most.
Fine. Very good. Well, so that meant that both the emperors, even the other emperors of Hindus, the Bengal at the time, had been keeping the standards of the Hindu Dharma. What is expected of the Rajan, what is expected of the king, they were applying the same to the prajas. And we do know that Dharma is nothing but exercises of duties. It is Dharma is equal to Kartavya. You must be Kartavya Parayan. That means you must do your duty, and if you do your duty, that's called Dharma. So we have quite mixed it with Dharma, and the Brahma Dharma has become synonymous to spiritualism, but according to the Hindu religious treatise, Hindu spiritual texts, Dharma and Brahma are quite different. Well, next I would like to know that before we have talked quite much of the military, what Snell was saying, that of the nature we have just stated of the benevolence, the generosity to the subjects and everything. But there have been a few problems, I think, that I would like to know from you that despite all the struggles, despite all this masculine fanaticism, there's been immense cruelty to the warriors. Both of them got defeated. It's very unfortunate, but we have to be true to ourselves even. We should have to accept the reality that they were different. Pratapaditya was betrayed, and Lakshman had also been betrayed. In many other situations we found in the Bharatiya, they were also betrayed by the Hindus or the Islamists, whatever it is, but it's a betrayal, a cruel betrayal at the end of it. So do you think this military structure of Bengalis in the medieval age could not sustain a very small betrayal? So if the structure can contain, can control such betrayal, how can it win such a big battle? I would like to know from you. It's a sense, I am not countering anybody. I am just in a mood of introspection. I'd like to know the truth. My question is very simple. If a single betrayal can be checked by the entire structure, entire thought procedure, or the execution of that entire machinery, how can a victory or triumph in a battleground be expected? I'd like to know from you. Please answer.
When we speak about the betrayals that happened with Pratapaditya or Lakshman Sen, the people who betrayed actually were the people who were the most believed. Pratapaditya was betrayed by three Mojumdars who were called the Chamekata Mojumdar, and one of his cousins whose name was Kochurai. Now these people had the access to, I would say, the deepest of the things. Somewhere like the Shamunta, and Kochurai, as I said, was a cousin of Pratapaditya, and he knew all the routes that how Joshua could be attacked, and this thing, that betrayal, if someone from the if a soldier has betrayed, then it would not cause many problems. But if someone from the planning section, someone from the inside circle, I say, any group you say, any group, any institution you say, any part you say, if someone from the very inner circle betrays and gives the things to the enemy just for some jomidari or just from some money, then it is very hard to reback it. Lakshman Sen was obviously betrayed. When it came to know about the betrayal, he had the power, or he had the space to reverse it. Like if I gave the example of a tiger, if a tiger is jumping, he would take a step back. The taking a step back of a tiger doesn't mean he is going away. It is meaning that he would jump with the full force. Lakshman Sen had the space or the power to exert the full force, because this was just an attack in Nodia. The whole of Rar and Purbobongo area were under his control, under his two sons. He went back to Shankohatta. He had a huge navy and a huge cavalry, elephant cavalry. He attacked Bakhtiyar in the front war. But unfortunately, Pratapaditya didn't have the space. He fought 7 to 8 wars in his life. He didn't have the space because in the different regions, like when Man Singh got the all the informations, he went inside it. Bakhtiyar couldn't come inside Gaud, as Gaud was the Rajdhani or the capital at that time, or a very important point at that time. He attacked Nodia. When Bakhtiyar attacked Nodia, Nodia was not a military base. Nodia was a normal house where Lakshman Sen was having some spare time in his old age. So it was not an important strategic point he attacked. But when Man Singh attacked, he has 3-4 people and he went inside. Sadly, Pratapaditya didn't have the space to reverse back the attack. He died fighting. His son died. His general died. The lack of space, because at that time when Pratapaditya was fighting against the Mughals had obviously more land and more manpower than him. So Pratapaditya didn't have the time to get back and attack once again, because Pratapaditya, if he once gets back into his capital, his Rajdhani, his Durga, whatever, that will be again attacked. There stand
don't you
the
think that? Yes, sir. Don't you think this is an incompetence of Pratapaditya's machinery? There can always be betrayals. There can also be betrayals, and betrayals are expected in a royal machinery or in a battleground. So, if I can't handle or control or check a betrayal, if we just compare it to the holes in a water pipe, there might be one or two or too many holes, but the water will buzz out from the water. If I don't call the plumber with immediate effect, it might lead to a disaster. So I must call the plumber and check the pipeline, something like that. Okay? So don't you think that there was a failure of the machinery of Pratapaditya? You were saying that Pratapaditya didn't have the space at the time. I agree with it. But it's not expected that the opposition of my enemy is going to give me lots of space. It's not expected that my enemy is going to give me lots of time so that I can win the battle. So don't you think this as an incompetence of his machinery? Please answer.
No, actually not that, because if I say there's a water bottle and there's a small hole in it, the water comes pouring out. If there are 10 holes, it will be hard, because, as I said, when Pratapaditya into the battlefield was fighting the Mughals, when he came to knew that he has been betrayed, and again he was betrayed by his very own people. Sadly, the people he believed, the people he gave the power, they betrayed him. But he, if I give you an example that a water pot is being, there's a hole in it, I come and I apply something else on it to stop the water. So there were so many holes, because Pratapaditya, when he fought Mansingh, he just came back from a war. He had already fought in the war of I'm forgetting the name of the war. Before the final war, he just fought a war. He manages to stop Mansingh, and then once again another attack happens. Now, if as I mentioned, the Kochurai and these people, if they hadn't helped Mansingh, Pratapaditya was already repelling him from his kingdom. He didn't have food or water, but these people came with the most important thing, food and water, and they gave him like access even to his, I would say, his fort, the main fort in Dhumghat. The Mughals were given access to his fort. So when there was a triangular, a three-sided attack happened on him, so he didn't have the time or the power at that time to resist against it, because as I said, he was already fighting a war, and then another attack happens. When I am stopping a hole, if another hole happens, then what is
so according to you, that there was no end to attacks on Pratapaditya. There's one by one was taking place, and there was a recurrent attacks.
One by one attacks were happening. Yes.
Okay, Snapshot, in this case, I would like to add some. Do you want to add some more aspects to this? Do you want to add some few points to this? Was there any problem in Pratapaditya's machinery? Was this military strategy faulty? What has been stated by the historians, and what do you suppose or suggest, or what have you stated in all these things? Was there any problem in the military machinery, or if Pratapaditya's military machinery faults are taken into consideration, can be termed as the Sanatani problems of the Hindus? The Hindus don't look at these aspects, and these were the same fate was shared by Pratapaditya even. What is your answer? What can be? Yes.
So if we see as the first beginning, the battle of Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena and his victory was that not a big event in that movement, because that where the battle of Navadip, where Maharaja Lakshman Sen defeats Bakhtiyar Khilji and gets to Bihar, please to Bihar. From then again, Lakshman Sena rules entire of Bengal from preeminence, and then his three sons rules the three very part of it. There's no any time there's no any space of any scratch that it was attack or invasion anything. Bengal was a sovereign, independent Hindu state, and always. And then the son or the son of Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sen, the next crown king of Bengal, Sarupa Sena, attacked Varanasi and liberated the Kashi Vishwanath shrine and erected victory pillars in Varanasi. So, as we see, as that period, entire Aryavart, entire India, or especially northern India, Bengal was the only big, strong Hindu stronghold who could not just even protect its own sovereignty, but also liberate side of its holy shrines. So then again, after Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sena, then comes then his son Surya Sena, then Narayan Sena, then the last Sena king, Gaudeshwar Paramasambhata Madhusudan Sena. So the Sena dynasty also rules after even 80 years from Lakshman Sena,
Mhm.
and it keeps its dominance. Then also, it's not the Hindu dominance fault. After the Senas, their feudal kingdom, the Deva dynasty, rises from the Chandradeep kingdom of southeastern Bengal, and they eventually rise from the entire eastern Bengal, then western Bengal, Rana region. As we see, they had a administrative center in the Navahat, that today's Noihat area. So the entire Raj conquered, and then after from 1417, that King Deva from the Deva dynasty rules the entire of Bengal as a united state. So we see the Sena dynasty and Deva dynasty doing it. The rules is in Hindu sovereignty from 215 years. A Hindu dominance there keeps intact. So the problem is not applicable for this Prabhupada. The problem what Maharaja Prabhupada was that he started from literally a zero. He was not a crown prince. Himself. He made himself a king. His coronation happened. He himself declared himself a king, and then he expanded own empire in his own power. So he inherited enemies from the beginning. No, there are various persons who could not just accept the fact that a guy from a little state rises, spends, and creates our own empire, own Hindu empire. Here I have to mention that if we call about the Hindu revival of Eastern India, in fact, so the centuries of Islamic rule that period, that the Hindu shrines are being stopped. Vast Hindu shrines has the Puri or the Jagannath, where the gate was stopped by the Lohani from that state, and then from the Jessore, the only from native state from the side, he attacks. There comes a there comes a from this, temple, Vijayram Bandhu, who comes from Jessore and um, invites Maharaja Pratapatitya to liberate Puri side. So the Jashore army marches to the Odisha, and there the then ruling Lohani Pathan Isha Khan Masandar. The battle happens in the battle of Subarna River from Italy to reach Medinipur, and then the battle where the Pathan suppressed the liberation of Puri temple happened after 14 years. So it was a deliberate victory.
Mhm.
It was a big message to central governments of Delhi, and not just that. The battle prowess was great that the Maharaja Pratapatitya even entered the Mughal territory in Varanasi and established Chausatti Jogini Mandir and Chausatti Ghat that still exists there with the name of king. So it has a deliberate existence, and that all it happens, it creates a jealousy among the natives that these are not a very united race. You will see about any ethnicity being a polytheistic cult and not having central dominance. He inherited a lot of things, and also the design as a person, Shrestha was. a very cruel and short-tempered person. He usually insults some person if they were not very good in their duty. So from his enemies, they happened between he got his three administrative who had one on the they betrayed with him and revealed all the secrets and also helped the Mughals from their shelter. The rain from the reign of Bengal was devastating. The Mansingh got shelter from Avanand and food also. So from their help, they could attack Bengal. And at that time, that was also very old, 50 or 52 years old, and all the great generals like Shankar was died back then. So he was very alone that time, also old, and that time even when the attack of Mughal general Islam Khan Chishti to attack from right, and also the Mughal attack, deliberate attack from western side, capturing the neighboring state Chandradeep, ruled by Raja Ramchand Basura, who was also the son-in-law of Maharaja. First, the capture of Bafna Chandradeep happened, and from then the all sides was rounded. Then Battle of Kafka happens, and then Mughals. So this is the reason, the core reason of betrayal or getting old. That various reasons he got, and also not having his central or not being from a say, royal dynasty. So he developed many enemies from the beginning. On the contrary, the Sena, King Lakshman Sena, he already belonged to a royal dynasty. He was his ancestors were kings, his descendants were, and after his dynasty, such dynasty was also. So they ruled in 1550, 1417, and then
Well,
stand on.
just a minute. I think if you can put off the cam and speak as an audio, I think we can hear you in a better manner. Why can't you put off the cam, please? You just put off the camera. Just put off the camera. Close the camera. Okay. And we do like to. I think you can be heard better if in an audio mode. Can you speak? Can you say it now? Can you say now? Listen now, so we can listen to you more with a more attention. I think
Am I
we are
listenable?
listening to you. Okay. Now, yes, you are audible. Okay. Please continue.
Yes. So when we see about the Sena dynasty and after its successor Deva dynasty, they ruled from 200 and 300 years, and that kept the Hindu dominance in eastern side, that is Bengal, is intact. But when it comes to the later medieval age, the Mughal era, and at times the situation was complicated. As a race, we are not united, and then one king comes to unite us, and he could. But at the last
But
time, there
well, just listen. Since I'm hearing it. Okay. Now I'd like to put a new questions to you both. That in the same period, during the medieval era, there had been an unusual development of a new feature that had not been present almost in any part of India. That it is a conscription, the compulsory military training. The Bhutstoot Empire. We do know that bargain obviously that kingdom had the practice of conscription. It was compulsory military training. And if I do go through the treasures of the histories of India for the last 1,500 years, I have not been able to find any other instance of conscription in any other part of India. Well, Stanford, I think if you can please put off the camera, I think in that mode, I think you can talk to us in audio mode. I think. So, what's of this conscription? Do you think that this was a sudden development in the case of Bhutstoot, or was it a unique device or the planned procedure of the Bengalis, the merchant Bengalis at the time? This conscription is quite unusual even today. For that reason, I'm asking you. Shomodip, please, I would like to know from
Actually,
you.
Yeah. So the martial
Okay.
tradition that was within the people, like the king or the soldiers or the generals, they will fight. This is what they will fight. This is the duty. But the normal people in that time, when the Islamic attacks were happening, normal people also got used to fighting. Like if I give you an example outside this Lakshman Pratapaditya question, uh, if we go a little bit back in the time, Gaudeshwar Shashanko, Gaudadipati Shashanko, when the dual attack of Harshavardhan and Bhaskar Borman happened on him, he had the young people, young men from the all of his empire recruited in the army. So they got recruited in the army. So it is very sure that they were not. It is not that they don't know how to even hold a sword. If I recruit 100 men in the army who don't know how to hold a sword, it is useless. So we can say from that that even at the time of Gaudadipati Shashanko, the concept of martial tradition or the concept of Shastra Charcha, this was present inside the normal Bengali people, and this tradition carried out for years and years. Like in every era, during we get an example. I will give you an example of during Lakshman Sen's era. After the death of Gaudeshwar Lakshman Sen, when by traitors obviously, Lucknow was covered by the Muslims, and the main resistance was going from Purba Bongo and the Rad area of Bengal. At that time, as Purba Bongo was more surrounded by waters, we get the mention of a Rakesh Protihar. Now, this Rakesh Protihar, he was a small, he actually led like 10 to 20 military boats in Lakshman Sen's time. He took the Bagdi, the Thali, the Mollo people in his army. He built a more powerful navy and started helping Lakshman Sen's resolution. He also recruited the normal people from the villages
Just
from they,
when you were saying that Rad and West Bengal were resisting when Gaudeshwar and Nodi was under the siege, my question is that I would like to know that who was resisting at the time? The Royal armies or the common people in general? Now, if the common people from
both.
the west of east for the East Bengal or Rad region were resisting, that means that the common people had a good grasp on the concept of combat training. Unless how it can resist a professional army? Do you think
Yes.
that combat training or all types of military trainings in the military atmosphere was very much present even in the Bengali households at that time? Do you think so?
Yes, 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 yes. The concept of weapon using weapons, shastra charcha, this was very common at that time. Every young, every young man, every young woman, they would know how to fight at that time. It was not a government. The government never said that you should know how to fight, but they knew because it was in the tradition. The normal people, the how many soldiers should there be in an army if the normal people doesn't tell? If we Lakshman Sen had a big army. We get that he was a samrat or an emperor at that time. But after the fall of the Sen and the Dev Empire, when the small kingdoms took the charge of the fight against the invaders, it was the common people they helped. In the previous podcast we talked, I mentioned the name of Hamir Mollo, who fought against a lakh of Pathan soldiers with normal people from his kingdom. He recruited the normal people, the Shromojibi, the farmer people into his army. Will I go into the
That
army if
is,
I don't know how to wield a word?
well, that means that he was trying to say that people from the even from the working class and cutting aside those division of the varnas, of those Brahman, the Shudras, and the Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas, all were being inducted in the army. All the common people from the common households of Hindus of all denominations of the varnas were being included in the army. He was trying to say that, okay, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, even they were not in the army, they know how to fight because after like I'll just say a small incident or small story in between it. When the Delhi Sultanate tried many times to capture Bengal by direct attacking. They saw we can't do it. They, after like many years of resistance, they get it that Bengal can be captured with the direct attack. So they used another method. They sent the Sufis, the Awliyas, the Peers to attack. Like there is a mention of Shah Jalal who won the Sylhet. He had 23 Awliyas. There's a mention of Akananda Bakananda, two princes of Rad who resistance against the Muslim invaders, 17 Awliyas. These Awliyas, they were sent in small groups with some soldiers in them with Chhadovesh. They would not come directly attack the kingdom. They would first surround the kingdom, then attack it from inside. These Awliyas, how a small kingdom, like if I give example of Balia Bashanti or Bhagirathpur, these small kingdoms, they didn't have a big army. The people fought for them. In whole of Bengal, there was a concept of weapon training and being trained into weapons and how to use them when necessary for long and long ages. And this the kings, our kings who fought for us, they also had support from the very common people. Like even many Brahmins who would do puja part, they even used to carry a sword in their bags. Even there's a Vaishnava tradition in Bengal that during the after the winter season ends, there's a tradition in Bengal that the Kirtaniya Vaishnava people would do the Nagar Kirtan at very dawn time, like 4 a.m. When this started, why this was started? There is a military mind behind this. Salute to the military mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Vaishnavas, they always had a gupti or a sword or a tangi with them in their bags. They always had that. They were Vaishnavas. They were devout Vaishnavas. They would do the Nam Sankirtan. Because if any attack happens, this was to keep the people awake, keep the people who are sleeping in a gram, keeping them awake that Nam Sankirtan is happening, we have to be awake. And these Vaishnavas, they had small weapons in their bags. If any attack happens, we will resist fast. The Horishava, we know the name of Horishava. There are many Horishavas in Bengal. The Horishava was actually found for this cause. For the people, not the king, not the king's people, not the people in the military, but the normal people. They also knew very well how to resist against the invading powers. And they had the training to do so, and they had been doing it for like thousands of years. And this is what helped our kings getting or building up resistance this powerful, because they had the help from the common people. The common people would also fight for them, not only the army. This helped the kings at that time a lot. Obviously, that helped.
That means that there was a civilian regiment as well. Okay, there were civilian armies as well that could help, that could rescue the nation in the great times of crisis. Well, I don't think. I think that Snehansh is no more with us at this moment since his problems are.
I think he has having some internet issues. I think.
Pardon, please.
I think he's having some issues with the internet.
Certainly, he's having issues with the internet, and it is very unfortunate for us since he is a brilliant speaker, and we have not been able to talk to him. It's a very misfortune for us. But Shomati Prasanth, you have just said that for 1,000 years there has been this tradition of this martial arts, the civilian armies, the royal army, the standing armies. Okay, so why did it got lost? Why has it got extinct? I would like to know this from you. Why is a problem?
Well, getting extinct.
Such a good question.
Why did it get extinct? Like what I would like give an example. There is a saying that if you want a jati to get destroyed, don't kill them. Let them forget their history. Like when the British came, before the British, people would talk about Pratapaditya, Kedar Rai, Sitaram, Bhabashankari, Lakshman Sen, and other many kings of their locality. There are many, like if you travel to 100 years ago, if you travel to the Gopum area, which is very near to Durgapur, if you come to the Gopum area, the people of Gopum knew that there was a kingdom who resisted against the Islamic invaders. But today's people, they don't know anything. Even very unfortunate thing, there is a place named Kaksha near Durgapur. I had a friend there. I went to his house. You will be surprised to hear that the first attack on Bengal, the first Muslim attack on Bengal happened actually in Kaksha by Bokhtiyar. Bokhtiyar and his general Sayyid Bukhari attacked Kaksha. Sayyid Bukhari was killed in war. Bokhtiyar attacked the fort walls and iconoclast. The temples were destroyed. The normal people of Kaksha, my friend or his family members or his friend, no one knows about these things. This is where the problem started. When we forget our history, when we start to forget our history, a thing comes in our mind, and as I said, the today's historians or the historians, as I call them, because they distort the history so much that there's a concept, and I read it in school myself, that Bakhtiyar Khilji attacked with 18 horsemen. Whole of Bengal went under Muslim rule, and by this just one line, 500 years of resistance, 500 years of resistance, 500 years is not a matter of joke, washed out. If I don't learn things at school, my father didn't learn, I didn't learn, who will tell us?
Well, we have said a very fine thing that if you forget your history, you lose your own identity. Okay, that's the main thing.
Yes.
Because for all these reasons, despite there have been so much crisis, so much persecutions of the Bengalis in the last 80 years, we have just encountered almost 80 genocides at this moment time, be it West Bengal or East Pakistan, Bangladesh, North India, Assam, even in Myanmar, but we have not been able to react to it in the same expected manner, since we have somewhat lost our own identity. We are quite confused. When we do speak of patriotism, when we do speak of Bengal and Hindus, we are accused of provincialism. But it must be stated at the very time, at the very moment, that a Hindu is a huge and a great race. It's a milieu of several traditions, and Bengal Hindu is one of those. We can be mingled with another one. We have a greater interest. We have the Hindu interest, that's all. But among the other, in basics, the great umbrella, there are also other issues that pertains to us only. That, for example, the partition of India that has befallen the Bengali Hindus, divided us between Pakistan and India, that has plagued the entire community for 80 years, we have not been able to come out of it. It's a problem of the Bengali Hindus in particular. It's not the problem of the Gujarati Hindus, not of the Marathi Hindus, not of the Tamils, or anywhere. So they don't know what's for partition. But we do know what's for partition, and what can be the effects of partition, and what can be the havocs of partition. We do know it very well. But since we have already stated very rightly, we do not care to know the history, we have lost identity. If we had lost identity, if we had a strong Bengali Hindu identity, apart from being a proud Indian, we could have reacted to all these nonsenses and genocides in a better manner than even today. What we are trying to do, you and me, we are trying to reinvent the history and trying to teach the people that we have been like this. Yes, we had our own great warriors. We had a great martial culture, which is being suspected basically even by the Marxists, not even by only the Marxists, but socialists or even other schools of Hindu nationalism. Skepticism is being thrown on the Bengali Hindus that we are considered being a persons of lower identity and lower mentality. We are quite informed people. So at this juncture, we are making this session to let people know that yes, we had very proud predecessors who had great warriors who didn't leave the battlefield in the last breath of their lives. So Shomati Banerjee is concentrating on this aspect. So please, Shomati, continue.
So as we said that what happens when we don't know about our ancestors, like if I had known about these things that I have learned in last 2-3 years, we are learning things now. Every day we learn new things. As I learned a new thing about Maharaja Pratapaditya today, that there is a Kali Mandir established by him in Uttar Chobbish Pargana. I didn't knew it till yesterday. I knew it just today.
Well, I think it's Is it in the Gaighata area?
No, it is in the Bithari area.
Okay. No,
It is a Bithari area.
since why I'm saying that, since in Gaighata there is a single what's the in Bengal it's called Ghat, Nodir Ghat, when an area, the port area, which was used by Pratapaditya's army at that in that era. This it does exist still. For that reason, I have spoken of the Gaighata. Okay,
Wow.
please.
Just you said this. You said this thing. I didn't knew this. This concept, like if we don't know about our history, we can't make our present powerful. Why is learning history important? Because history gives us the knowledge that what our ancestors have done. We get inspired. We know about them. We try to be like them. We make our present better and our future better. Now, today, fortunately, through many forums, through many writings, we are spreading our histories slowly. As you mentioned that like 80 or more years of uh, vanishing our history, erasing our history has happened. Like I just when we started, actually when we started our work on history, we barely knew names of 5 to 10 kings, barely. Today we know more than 100 names. And like every area, each and every village, each and every area has its own history. If I get to know about the history of my people, I would get inspired to become like them. And that's when we will be able to revive what our culture was. Knowing the history is very important, because if you don't know about your civilization, your history, you won't you will be very doomed. You'll say, oh, like many people say that, oh, we don't have any history, yeah, Bengal is never resisted. And this thing, when it comes to their mind, they become mentally and physically weak. The mentality is very much important, and the knowledge that no, I have a history, I know it, and I know how to make that history happen again. We say that history repeats itself. It does, obviously. If history doesn't repeat itself, how 500 years of resistance has happened from this land? And after that, if we see, not against only Muslim invaders, the invading English power, they had the toughest fight from this land of Bengal. This was a continued tradition of that tradition. The
Very
thing,
nice, very nice. Well, no, well, if we just go back to recent history, it must be stated that even in the 1960s, 70s, or 80s, no person did ever think of Pratapaditya and Gaudeshwar Lakshman. I haven't found any writings of any celebrated writers concentrating on these very issues, except one or two, even for once or twice. But in 2023, there are people who are thinking of all these things. That means history is repeating itself, and there is no end to history. There can't be any end to history. Because each and every day, history comes to us in a new way, in a new manner. That's Shomodi Banerjee was saying that we didn't know, I didn't know, even take 5 to 6 years back, that this had been done by Pratapaditya. In 2018, when we had celebrated Maharaja Pratapaditya's ascension or Pratapaditya Dibosh and the 150th year of the Hindu Mela, in a very celebrated manner in a library at Borobajar, Calcutta. Lots of people attended it. It was a good success. But even the time, we didn't know many things that we have come to know in all these years, the post 2018 period. That's called the cultivation. That calls your stubbornness to go with the issue. Now we have talked many things, many aspects. We have missed many aspects as well. We have missed Niyamshu Majumdar. We have not been able to listen to him. We have been talking with Shomodi Banerjee, a very nice guy and a nice power speech. And me personally had also faced the technical problems in the beginning. So I do beg your pardon. But one thing must be stated from Modi, since it's already 15 minutes past 1 hour, we have to end this for now. This is not the end. We must say that this is just the beginning. We will come back in this section of Bengal Forum dealing with all these issues over and over again. We shall come from time to time. So this has been the central issue, the central dogma that has been exploring us to save our identity and also kith and kin. We, the Bengali Hindus, at present are in an existential crisis. We shall have to say it very clearly and very truly. When we are fighting for existential crisis, when we are telling with very confidence that I do have the right to exist, and my existence is at stake, that this hour, these people, for Nandaditya Shashank, to Gaudeshwar, Lakshman Sena, to Vietnam Ganesh, to Maharaja Pratapaditya, to Rani Bhabashankari, to Sitaram, happens to be the only glorious examples and our hopes. There are only hopes. So since we do believe that we start once again their culture, that's going to save the Bengalis, and there is nothing that can save the Bengalis in this global scenario. Take it this from me. The situation with the Bengalis is so deep and so threatening at this moment that no legal and sophisticated methods can save our skin at this moment, can save us future. So we have been discussing all this with Shomodip Banerjee. Well, Shomodip, let me, before we end, we'd like to know from you that, take for example, that Pratapaditya Utsav revived the spirit of the medieval era of the Hindu Kshatriya, Shastra Dharma in the Agni Yuga of revolutionary movement.
Well, Pratapaditya Utsav actually, Pratapaditya Utsav, the moment of Pratapaditya Utsav was actually a moment of reborn from Pratapaditya. Like Bipin Chandra Pal, great freedom fighter, he mentioned that there should be a mother of every hero. There was one mother of Pratapaditya who gave birth to him, and there is another mother, Sarala Devi Chaudhary, who gave birth to him when Bengalis need a hero. In that moment, in 1903, that time Bengal was burning. It is the starting of Ognijug. Thousands and young people were taking up guns in their hands and they were fighting against the British. But sadly,
so it was 19,
that they would idolize.
So it was 1903. Now even 2000. So it was what he was saying is of 1903, and we are in 2023. That's 120 years after it, and we are still in the need of a hero.
Yes.
So Modi, that's the greatest tragedy for us. We are still in the need of a hero. We are in the need of a hero. And for that, and for all these reasons, we have been discussing all these things. We shall continue to discuss. In Bengal Volunteers' Mouthpiece Kanji, we do come out with all these references and prints and the treatises and the writings on every occasions. You can come across our website. You shall find all these articles. Even some have been there have been some beautiful articles have been penned by Shomodip even. There we do stick to us that don't ever think that this is just a time pass for us. This is our mission. This is our lifelong mission, and we are very much stubborn in it. So last line, Shomodip, how much is Pratapaditya required in this era for the Bengalis?
As I was speaking of Bipin Chandra Pal, in this era, we are, as you mentioned, the greatest strategy. 120 years later, we again need a hero. And we need someone like Pratapaditya. As I mentioned earlier, what he showed, the way that till last drop of his blood, till his last breath, he fought. And we need a hero like him today. And as I said, history repeats itself. I wish and I will keep working till one more Pratapaditya is not arise from this land. There are thousands of Pratapadityas between us, but we have to be that. We have the history, we have the tradition, we have to be that. Just by being that, we will rise again. As you mentioned, the Bengali Hindus are the most persecuted people in the last 80 years. We have been through persecution, but we are still existing today with our heads high, and we will do it again. The Pratapaditya Utsav started 120 years ago from today. that relieved, that was a moment of reborn for Pratapaditya. Let this moment, let this time be again Pratapaditya be reborn. Let we do what they did, what our ancestors did. Let us follow what our ancestors did, and let us follow their ways, their tradition, and we will rise again, and we will obviously rise again. This is what I can say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, taking cue from Somodip, I must say that we have been persecuted much. There's no doubt of it. We have been killed, we have been maimed, we have been persecuted in the most vicious manner. But take it from me, the future shall never be the same. We shall act in reply. We shall reply in the most stable manner. We shall come out with our own vision. We shall come out with our own strength. And there shall be no mercy. Since there has been no mercy on us, so no mercy shall be shown by us even. If there is a struggle, we shall be there for the sake of the country, for the sake of the people, and for the sake of the dharma, above all, and certainly for the sake of the Bhumi or Bharatvarsh. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much, Maldev, for being with us.
Thank you,
today there have been some problems. I do beg to all the persons who have been witnessing this session with attention. I do beg pardon to them. For the next time, we shall try to develop our internal internet signals and connections and everything. But once again, we shall come out with the same issues on Bengali even. Since we have been trying to make this in English to make the people of other parts of India realize that what has been the contribution of the genesis of the Bengalis in the last 1.5 millennia. So English is for them. But to make more and more Bengalis realize the same facts and figures, we shall make such sessions soon in Bengali too. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you. Vande Mataram. Namaskar.